All right. How about more? We got the Texas High School Coaches Convention ongoing. Wanted to play this for you. And one of the reasons the Longhorns are right now this morning, in addition to the over-unders at BetMGM, the Longhorns are the betting odds favorite to win the national championship.
Yes.
At plus 550. Part of that, here's Steve Sarkisian talking about his group of linebackers in 2025 and just how damn talented they are at that position. I've said it's the most talented group of linebackers I've covered since I've been covering Texas. Across the board. We know it has Anthony Hill, but, man, they are really good in a lot of places. Here's Sark, because he was in San Antonio for the Coaches Convention, asked about Trey Moore, who came from UTSA in that area. And here's Sark. He really likes the linebackers on defense.
Yeah, I'll touch on Trey Moore first. Was a great addition for us last year. Brought a really steady veteran mindset and approach to what he does. Got great work ethic. I really thought Trey came on the second half of last season. You could feel his presence, especially on third down, especially against really quality opponents that we were playing. You really feel his presence. We're trying to utilize his versatility a little bit more this year than we did a year ago, and he provides some position flexibility for us. So, last year he was primarily playing edge and a little outside linebacker. We're now leading with him playing linebacker that can offset and be a DPR, designated pass rusher for us. And so his versatility is going to be big for us. I think he's poised for a great season. I think he's had a great offseason. I was just talking to Coach Becton about him yesterday, as a matter of fact, that what a difference from one year to the next has made for Trey Moore being in the program and how good of a summer he's had, which I think is setting up for a heck of a season for him this fall. Yeah.
All right, and he went on to the linebackers because as a core, Anthony Hill's preseason Buckus Award favorite, I think, for most people. He's a preseason All-SEC and All-American. But, Leung Lafau's a real good player.
Yeah, he is.
Trey Moore's a real good player. Brad Spence in from Arkansas is a real good player. Ty Anthony Smith is a young guy that really flashed wearing number 26 last year. Everything we've said, this is why they went out and invested heavily in the transfer portal at defensive tackle. They went and made sure they fortified that, getting Cole Brevard, Travis Shaw from North Carolina, Brevard from Purdue, Hero Kanu from Ohio State, LaVon Johnson from Maryland, and Murad Watson from Syracuse, because they know, Pete Kwiatkowski and Sark know, if they can hold up against the run and be stout in a line of scrimmage league like the SEC, they're going to be really, really tough, because if you can't push them around, you're not going to outrun them.
Yeah.
And if you get into pass rush situations, look out. Your quarterback's going to have a hard time because everything he just said. They can think about it. You drop into it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. They drop into a pass rush situation. On the field, you got Murad Watson, the transfer from Syracuse, who's a really athletic guy. And you've got whoever else they throw in there at defensive tackle. Could be Brevard, could be Hero Kanu, Alex January. But coming off the edges, it's Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, Brad Spence, Trey Moore, Ethan Burke. Who's who? Who's dropping in coverage? Who's coming? And that is where you can disguise blitzes where they're not even blitzes. A blitz is when you bring more than 4 people. Well, you're still only bringing 4. But which one's coming? And at the snap, your quarterback, after post-snap, you'll do your pre-snap read as a quarterback. But post-snap, you got to decide real quick who's coming and who's not, who's dropping in coverage and who's not. And each one of those guys, obviously Colin Simmons is the best pass rusher, but Anthony Hill's not far behind him. Brad Spence from Trey Moore. These guys, it's going to be interchangeable. Ethan Burke. And if you get into pass rush situation against Texas, you're going to have a hard time. And plus they can really cover in the back end behind it, right? And you got Michael Taff leading and quarterbacking a really sticky back end. Yeah, this is why I think they're the number 1 defense in the country because they're going to wreak havoc on people with your front 7.
Yeah.
With their front 7, your quarterback's going to have a hard time.
I know it's just a couple players, but when you mentioned all the guys that transferred in, it's just something small, but they all have a different, perspective of the conferences they could be playing also in the playoffs possibly, right? ACC guy comes from Syracuse. You obviously have another SEC player from Arkansas, kid from Maryland, got Big Ten perspective. Now, I know it's just one player, but it's good to have that. Guys playing style against other coaches, whoever it might be, because your aspirations to win national championship.
Well, I'm also going to say,
doesn't hurt to have that.
A phrase I've said maybe way too often, but coaching continuity.
Yeah.
All these guys have played in this same system the entire time. Now, Dwayne Akeen is new. The new Mark Orfrey, the new cornerbacks coach. But this is Pete Kwiatkowski's defense, and Johnny Nanson's now into year 2 at the linebacker spot. And that coaching continuity is huge. They know the language, they know the expectation, they know how it all works and operates, and there's a lot of really talented team, and there's not a lot of thinking going on. You know what I mean? It's just play the defense, play the scheme, react, and that's when you have an All-American in Colin Simmons, then Anthony Hill, then Michael Taff at every level that kind of patrols their area. Man, that's tough. Okay, wanted to get into this. TheAthletic.com. It's a subscription-based website, but it's really good. And they do deep dive stuff like this all the time, which I love. So they did a deep dive article that published yesterday. Matt Baker made an attempt to put a valuation on college football programs. Right, college football programs are not for sale as they are in the NFL or NBA, and at least not yet.
Not yet.
Right. But the way sports is trending towards a more professional model, it's understandable that they would take this endeavor and say, okay, how do we? And here's what Matt Baker prefaced his research on as far as valuation. Number of qualifiers, using the last 3 years of available financials for each school. Like what do the numbers look like 3 years back, plus factors like popularity, fan base, location, and he calls it part art, part science. And to the surprise of no one, you could guess that the Texas Longhorns came out as the most valuable program in college football. And the margin, pretty wide. He projects that the Texas football program, if it were to be sold, would sell between $2 and $2.5 billion. He's got about $2.3 billion.
Yeah.
Which would be comparable to the 2018 sale of the Carolina Panthers, who sold for almost $2.3 billion. Now, that was 2018, but that's what he says. And his point, his little blurb, the Longhorns routinely lead the country in revenue. They were the only team to top $200 million in the most recent financial reports. No program came within $25 million of Texas in either of the past 2 years. Longhorns haven't won a national title since 2005, but made the college football playoff semifinals each of the past two and are among the preseason top championship contenders. Add in the SEC brand, add in 2 years of Arch Manning, and Texas looks like the safest investment.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no debate about it, right? This is the professional team here in Austin. It's a huge city. I mean, there's so many other factors to this as well. I mean, the history of the program, right now, the popularity of it, where the program is, trajectory rise, especially the last 3 years under Sark. Like you said, Arch Manning now a part of this, 100,000 plus over there at DKR. The list goes on and on. You can go.
The revenues aren't stopping.
Revenue, great university, resources, blah, blah, blah.
Following the Longhorns, the Georgia Bulldogs,
yes.
$1.92 billion.
They pushed themselves up. Yep.
Well, and they've won 2 national championships and won the SEC last year, and we're in the playoff, and they're right there outside of Atlanta, inside an hour outside of Atlanta. Coming in at number 3, Ohio State. Right. Not surprising. Georgia's $1.92 billion. Ohio State's $1.9. Notre Dame, of course, $1.85 billion. And then the Michigan Wolverines at 1.83. For rivalry's sake, Oklahoma ranks 7th at just under 1.5. A&M at $973 million.
Which probably puts them in the teens, right? They're a little further down there.
Well, that goes to location. And as we said, over the last 7 or 8 years, their win-loss total at A&M is comparable to NC State.
Correct.
It's almost identical to NC State.
Seasons.
And they're in College Station.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
Location matters.
You're a little bit more stranded out there.
Buying property in Austin is better than buying property in College Station.
Well, yeah, that's kind of, I'm sure Penn State, somewhat similar just because of their location, right?
For sure, 100%.
I mean, over 100,000 people in the stadium. That doesn't mean everything, but, that's a big program with a good team, but better than A&M has.
Well, the owner of the Austin FC was in Columbus. The valuation of his franchise in Columbus is much different than what it is now in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
That's just the way that goes. So, Texas, far and away. So, there you go. I don't think we're going to get to a point where we're buying and selling college football programs, but who knows?
I saw this list, E, and if there is teams that we will see that happening, I don't know when that would be, and I don't want to make assumptions. I'll tell you who it would be. It'd be the teams all the way to the bottom list, because your first Big 12 team, probably, in the 30s down there?
Way down.
That's the first conference I would think of where that starts happening.